Hi, it's John Williams here at MIT. I want to talk about TensorFlow, which is Google's machine learning platform. Particularly, we're going to take a look today at Google Code Lab's TensorFlow for Poets. So on GitHub, if we go to GitHub here, we can see TensorFlow for Poets. And the first thing we need to do is we're going to download that. So we'll need to, I'm going to scroll across here and we can clone or download. So here we'll copy this. And so if we go to a directory, for example, here I've got a directory Darth Vader, and I've pulled TensorFlow for Poets down here. Okay, and so here's the Git directory, and there's 3 subdirectories: Android, scripts, and TF files. So what we're going to do is we're going to actually run TensorFlow in a Docker container. So we need to know where to go to get our TensorFlow. So let me show you here that here's my Docker file for building this. And we're going to get it from gcr.io TensorFlow, and we'll pick up the latest TensorFlow. So our Docker file is going to go get the latest TensorFlow. And I'm actually in the container going to copy the scripts directory. Let me just remind you here, we've got the scripts directory and the TF files. Now in the TF files, there's a flowers photo subdirectory, and that contains the training data for daisies, dandelion, roses. And if we look in there, there are just loads of photos. So we're going to train to recognize different flowers. That's the goal. So we've done a git pull on TensorFlow for Poets. And now we're going to build ourselves an image. So here's the Docker file that we're going to use, and let's go build that image. So I've got Docker running. If get Docker, so Docker for Windows, I have it running, and now I can do Docker, and we can take a look at what containers I've got. So I've got 3 containers. Let me get rid of them all actually. So Docker remove $bracket Docker ps -a, that's all, -q. Okay, and so we've removed those 3, so we now have no Docker containers. And let's have a look, and I'm just going to move this up a little. Let me do Docker images, and we've got a couple here that I've named. Let's remove them. John 7. Okay. And now I've got a couple of, let me get rid of this one. Okay. So we've got no images related to TensorFlow at the moment. So the first thing we need to do is we need to go build ourselves an image. Docker build. I'm going to tag it. Let me call it John. I'm going to call it John 1. And that should start to go out and build. So we'll just skip ahead here. Okay, so you'll see there it's copying the scripts. So now we've got an image called John 1. So for example, we could run that image. So we could do docker run -it minus P for, I happen to know that we need to expose this port. Okay, and John 1. And I happen to know that TensorFlow is programmed in Python. So I'm going to just check that what version of Python we've got running. Okay, so in the container, if I run it, I'm running Python 2.7.12. So this is how I can issue commands into the container. Let's just take a look at, I want to take a look at the file system, just for me to do this. Okay, so it shows me that this is the file system in there, and I can't see those copied files. Now the problem is that I'm actually down a folder. I'm actually in a folder called Notepad, and it doesn't really show me that when I'm connected to Docker. Let's go and let me do a Docker run again, but instead now I'm just gonna, let me have a bash. Okay, now we can see. Now I'm inside the container. So you see here, and I'm actually in the notebooks subfile. Now we can see in my container, I was inside that directory. Now I can see the scripts and the TF files that I copied in. So I've just got to be aware that the container is booting up and placing me in the notebooks file. So if I want to access the scripts, I'm going to have to go up from this, if you call it like the work directory. I need to go up a level and then down into scripts or down into TF files. So let's take a look at the command I really want to run. So here's the command that I'm going to need. I'm going to retrain. So this is a Python command and it's in scripts. So you see I need to go up a level and then into scripts and retrain. And then similarly with all these other files, I need to go up a level, then into TF files. Okay, and this one's not quite right. I need to go to flower. Let me go to TF files. Flower photos. So I need to go to flower photos, flower underscore photos. Okay, so that's where my image directories be. So this is the script that I need to launch. So I'm going to copy that. So let me Control D, exit out of this. Now what I can do is, instead of bash, I'm just going to put in that Python command. Okay, so now what's going to happen is it's going to download Inception, which is the pre-trained image recognition machine learning in TensorFlow. I'm going to stop this. I already ran that, and let me show you what it looks like when it's run. So here you see it trained, and the training, it gives the training accuracy, a measure of the entropy that's left. So this is the difference between classifying an image, and the result can either be that it matches or doesn't match. And this is the entropy that the classifier leaves in the system. If we had perfect identification, it would be 0. If we have no ability to classify, then it would be 1. The cross entropy would be 1. So we're seeing we're getting a training accuracy of about 87% to 90%. So that's pretty good. So we've seen how we build a Docker container with TensorFlow in it, and how we can retrain the TensorFlow image recognition fairly quickly by just altering the last layer in it. And then we can use it for identifying images that belong to the category that we want. So we'll come back later and do that. So that's all for now.